Hi everyone, Materim here again with another narrative battle leading up into the events of the end times scenario. This has the Beastmen versus the Empire in a 2,000 point battle line game. It was raining when the Arch-Lector and his forces arrived in Loningsbrook. The weather was a perfect match for his foul mood. The preceding weeks had been disappointing, to say the least. After the battles against the Beastmen, and his most recent stalemate against the Bretonnians under the command of the deserter Cartagia, Heinrich's men were exhausted and of dour spirit. Even the discovery that his ward, Felix Weishoff, still lived was dampened by the extent of the young wizard's injuries that he had sustained from his battle with the Green Knight. Heinrich made his way into the building that he had commandeered to use as the headquarters of the rebuilding forces. When he arrived, one of his aides handed him a letter sealed with the sigil of the Grand Theogonist. Heinrich took the letter, looking forward to the wise words of his friend and mentor Volkmar, and was somewhat confused when he noticed that the writing contained within was not his. Arch-Lector Heinrich von Grunburg, we write to inform you that by the order of His Imperial Majesty, Volkmar, the High Theogonist of the Cult of Sigmar, has been formally pronounced dead. In his absence, the Sacred College has met to consider his replacement. In these dark and uncertain times, the Church needs a leader proven in both battle and diplomacy. As such, it was the decision that we, once known as Arch-Lector Caslain, have been chosen to succeed Volkmar as the Grand Theogonist. We have decided to allow you to remain Arch-Lector of the West, and request that you remain at your post overseeing the rebuilding of Loningsbrook. We have elevated Father Carolus to our former position as Arch-Lector of the Eastern Empire, and have assigned him to attend us at the Imperial Court. We thank you for your service, and wish the blessings of Sigmar upon you. Grand Theogonist Caslain. Heinrich was livid. He read the subtle rebuke in Caslain's words, and knew that his former rival had used Heinrich's absence from Altdorf to move against him and ingratiate himself to the Sacred College. In these dark times, a conniving politician had claimed the mantle of Volkmar, while he who had been risking his life to defend the people of the Empire was passed over. But Heinrich was not the kind of man to sulk over a setback such as this. Instead, he would sharpen his righteous indignation into a weapon to use against the foes of his god and his emperor. He gave orders to have his men rest and ready an assault force to leave for the forest tomorrow. He would ride out and bring the light of Sigmar to the enemies of the Empire with such a brilliance that not even the blind and petty men of the Sacred College would fail to take note of it. So, with Arch-Lector Heinrich von Grunburg on the warpath, it was not long until he and his forces stumbled upon Beastmen raiders who had camped in a ruined imperial village. And so here is the remains of the ruined imperial village. Everything's pretty normal except the hill in the top left corner you see there is actually a Temple of Skulls. And the griffin miniature right in front of my opponent is an altar of Sigmar. Neither one really came into huge effect though. So let's go ahead and get into deployment. So up on the Temple of Skulls, we have a unit of 10 Ungor Raiders. Next to that on the ground is a unit of 20 Gore Herd. They have shields and full command. And up front there, the figure with the green base is his Bray Shaman, who is a level 2 to the Lore of Beasts, and is serving as his Dispel Scroll Caddy. Then behind the wall are 3 Minotaurs with additional hand weapon and full command. Next to that is a Bestigor Herd, 15-man strong with full command and the Manbane standard. Then there is a 35-man strong Gore Herd with additional hand weapons and full command. Leading them is the Great Bray Shaman, level 4 to the Lore of Wild with the Talisman of Preservation, Steel Claws, and the Jagged Dagger. Also there is the Morgor BSB with heavy armor, additional hand weapons, many-limbed, gouged tusk, gnarled hide, and a beast banner. And on the far end is the Gorgon named Zola, holding up his flank there. So on the Empire side, I have a unit of 20 swordsmen. They have full command. There's a detachment of 5 archers there, kind of catty-corner to them on their right. In that unit, in place of Felix Weishoff, who is still injured, is a level 4 Battle Wizard Lord to the Lore of Heavens, with a Dispel Scroll and a Talisman of Preservation. Behind the archers there is a Hellblaster Volley Gun. Next to that is a unit of 4 Demigryph Knights with full command, and joining them is Father Aaron of Tal, a warrior priest on Barded Warhorse, with the Relic Sword, the Enchanted Shield, and the Dawnstone. In the back there I have my Altar of Mor, which is a Celestial Hurricanum. Next to that is the Hellstorm Rocket Battery. And in front of that is my main unit of halberdiers. It has 31 halberdiers in it because I made a mistake using Army Builder. With full command, and next to them is a detachment of 15 spearmen. And in the unit of halberdiers, I have Heinrich von Grunburg, my Archlector General, with the armor of meteoric iron and the white cloak of Ulrich. There's also Captain Derek Hosberg, who is Captain of the Empire, my BSB. He has the Dragon Helm, Luckstone, and Crown of Command, so he has a 2-up armor save and gives Stubborn to the unit. And showing an unusual amount of drunken bravery, my Halfling Huntsmen are hiding on the corner, hoping to get off a few shots against the Gorgon and do some wounds to him before they die heroically for the cause. So the Beastman got turn 1, and he is coming right for me. Not afraid at all. Moving up as fast as he can towards my lines on this side. And pretty much does the same thing on the other side. Only plus side I like here is that those Minotaurs are coming right for that Hellblaster Volley Gun. And my hope is to just tear them up and hit what's left with the Demigryph Knights. So that's kind of my aim there. So my opponent rolled terrible for magic, and I shut him down. And we go into Empire turn 1. I move up my archers so that I can draw out those Minotaurs and get them. I basically want to get them out there, and they do their overrun of, D6, and then pick them off with the other units I have there. It'll also give me a turn to shoot them with the Hellblaster and thin them down a little. So I've played this list enough where I've got some decent respect for the Minotaurs. I just don't think he has enough of them in this army. Particularly with no chaff, I'm going to be able to choose how I get into fights with this stuff, and that's exactly where I want to be. And over here, I move my guys back just a little bit so that I am at the absolute furthest range I can be and still shoot at him. I don't want to give him an easy charge, and frankly, the more time that the Gorgon spends wasting here with my, 90, 100 point halfling unit, the better off I'm going to feel. So, that's pretty much my plan on this. So during my magic phase, I end up getting a Comet of Cassandora that goes off basically right in front of his big group there, but we open up into shooting, and the Hellblaster just absolutely blows away Minotaur, and the other 2 don't panic. So that's pretty good. The more I can get them thinned down before they engage, the absolute better. And over here, that green die is where I put the Comet down, but the Hellstorm rocket battery goes off, ends up only shooting 1 rocket off, and it spun away a little bit, but I still managed to kill 3 of the Gore unit, so that was pretty good. I like this thing just because it's goofy, and if you can get 3 rockets out of it, it can actually do some damage, but it just wasn't fated to work this game. So we go into Beastmen 2, and Minotaurs just slam face first into those archers. The Gore unit over here tries to charge, like a long bomb charge, into the swordsman here and fails, but it was just barely. So he ends up hitting, I think he needed a 12 and rolled an 11, something like that. But he ends up right at the edge of the forest, or the fence there. which is good. I really didn't want that unit into my lines this early, so I felt fortunate there. And over here, he tries to roll, or tries to charge the halflings, and I fail my panic, or fail the terror test, and take off running. So he doesn't catch him because he would have needed, I think he would have needed a 12 on the dice to hit me, but I don't have very much of the board left before those guys run off, and it just kind of sucks that they decided to tear off running instead of shoot anymore. And over here you can see the Ungor Raiders start making their way around the house. His ultimate aim here is to sneak them around behind my lines and start blasting the war machines and stuff that I've got hidden behind. And over here in the center, he decided not to charge in, or maybe he failed the charge with the Gore Horde. I don't quite remember. But he decided with the Bestigors to try and move sideways to get away from the comet coming down. He also wanted to be under cover of the fence when when my units basically slammed in there. So playing a little cautiously, but I guess that's good for him. So we go into Magic. The comet comes down, but it doesn't do a whole lot. It kills 2 guys in each of those units and doesn't touch mine at all. So over here, I'm not sure whether it was a combination of magic and shooting. I think it was just shooting, because my magic really just did not go anywhere with this character. I end up doing just enough wounds to get them to panic, and he fails his panic check and starts running off the board. So I think that was pretty awesome. I think I had to kill 5 guys, and that's exactly what happened. And in combat, obviously the Minotaurs butcher my archers, and they overrun just enough to leave the cover of the fence. And yeah, they're mine at this point. If the Hellblaster doesn't kill them, the 2 units on the side are definitely going to take care of them. So we go into Empire turn 2, and I'm smelling blood. I decide to just go for it with everything I got. I slam my detachment into the flank of the Gore unit, slam my halberdiers in the front of the Gore unit, and you can see here I move up the Celestial Hurricanum so it's within 6 inches of all the units, so it's going to get pluses. I also managed to slam, although this isn't the best picture of it, managed to slam the Demigryphs into the Bestigor unit there. Yeah, and here's the better unit of where I slam right into the Bestigor unit. I'm definitely feeling pretty strong about this until I remember, or rather my opponent reminds me, that the Demigryphs themselves don't get hatred from the warrior priest, so I'm a little more nervous now. And then over here, my swordsmen were exactly at the perfect farthest range to charge the Gore unit that was fleeing, so I charge that. They tear off running a little bit more, end up on the Temple of Skulls, and obviously I now fail that charge and end up behind the building here. And then here on this side, I rally, what is that, 2 inches, 3 inches maybe from the edge of the board. So, yay, Halfling's turn. Probably to get terrored off next turn again, but at least they're going to go out like chubby, fur-footed freaks. So my magic again was garbage. Shooting kills another Minotaur, and we go into combat, and the Demigryphs absolutely brutalize the Bestigors. The Demigryphs actually take 2 wounds, but just killed a bunch of the Bestigors. He needed, he was still stubborn, so I think he needed like an 8 rerollable, and rolled a 10 and an 11. And then rolled something very tiny to stay, and I ran him down and end up where you see there. Then over here, the battle goes absolutely terribly for the Beastmen. His BSB whiffs against mine whiffs against his, no big deal. But then my halberdiers murder his Great Bray Shaman, who's his general. We beat the hell out of him because I got my spearmen in his flank. He's disrupted, so he doesn't get any bonus from that. And I had as many ranks as he did in the halberdier unit, even after he finished dealing with me, because I killed a lot of his guys. So he ended up needing rerollable double ones and failed to get it. And the spearmen pursued him and ran the entire unit down. Um, so definitely about the worst possible outcome for the Beastmen there. And with pretty much the only things left being the Gorgon and the 10 Ungor Raiders, my opponent chose to surrender the game at this point. And I can't really say that I blame him. It was an absolute bloodbath. So let's take a minute just to see how badly Heinrich's anger makes the Empire fight, and then we'll go into the wrap-up narrative. Brother, wake up, the Morgor pleaded. He and the remainder of the Beastman force that had managed to flee the ruined town and back into the safety of the woods outside the Empire's patrol. Morgor was eventually stirred from his stupor, his eyes darting from Morgruul to the deeper forest. He knew that had Morgruul been born with any intelligence, the great Bray Shaman would lie dead, and the herd would lay with the Morgor. Help me up, brother. We have matters to take care of. With the aid of Morgruul, the two walked further into the woods. The further in the pair went, the darker the woods seemed to grow. These fools, followers of their broken gods. I will unleash something they have long forgotten. As they reached the deepest edge of the forest, the two found themselves staring at a large herdstone, with a massive creature still chained to it. Looking to Morgruul, whose face seemed to twist into some primal fear, the great Bray Shaman called out to the true gods, calling upon ancient pacts to give life once more to the creature chained up. Dark energies whipped out from the dark places of the herdstone, empowering the monster. With the ritual complete, the massive creature ripped free of its bindings and landed mere feet in front of Morgor. Father, it is time to feed. With those words, the doom bull took off, its massive form crushing the undergrowth and uprooting trees. A bellowing scream came from the creature, calling forth the deep bloodlust in all the nearby beastmen. A call that even the men in nearby towns could hear. An omen of what was to come. So that was an absolutely rough game for the Beastmen. Obvious victory to the Empire there. Wow. I really wasn't expecting that. I was actually pretty afraid of what the Beastmen had, and I tell you, it really came down to something I didn't talk about much in the video. The second turn Beastman magic phase, he got 12 dice on that phase, and I thought, oh god, I'm going to get beat. He ends up getting, like, trying to cast something from the his main mage. And actually, that may have been what caused him to panic, because he miscast, blew up some dudes, and then ended up... No, because he stayed. He just lost some guys. That's why the 5 were enough to panic him. But the more point is he rolled a 6 on the d6, and so lost all but one of his dice, and so had no dice to buff himself to receive the charges that I hit him with, and so he basically had to face the full might of the Empire army with no magical defenses, and it was not good. I think, however, my opponent's bigger problem is sort of one of expectations with the Beastmen. He seems to want the Beastmen to kind of play like the ogres do, where you can just kind of run them forward and hit things, and they still got a pretty good shot at living. And he doesn't seem to... Well, he realizes it, he just doesn't want to play them that way, and he's stubborn. But he doesn't want to have to deal with the chaffing parts and the little support stuff. He doesn't want to play with chariots. He just wants to make big blocks of dudes run in and hit stuff in the face. And I just don't think right now that the Beastman army is strong enough to pull that particular task off. So he's getting a little frustrated, I think, with the army. And I can understand that, because The last few games he's played with them have been pretty rough. I suggested that he go check out the videos that Sustainable Center has been doing on the Beastmen because I think it's there's some good info there. But ultimately, I don't know that it's going to matter much unless his attitude changes a little bit as to what he wants. And so I guess we'll see if he can do that and kind of come to an understanding of what he wants out of the army and how to kind of stay with that vision yet still incorporate some of the other elements that the Beastmen I think need to help them perform. So all in all, it was a fun game. I think he should get some more monsters. That's my opinion. They might still be terrible, but at least they'd look pretty cool on the table. And we were actually talking about this after this game. If I were to ever play Beastmen, it would be a terrible list because I'd have like Jabberslights and I'd have all their rare section. It really, like everything everyone says is terrible. That's pretty much everything I'd play with. But all in all, this was a good one. It was kind of nice to get some stress out with the Empire, although this was a very, very short battle. But I had a good time. I hope you guys enjoyed it. If you did, please like the video, subscribe to the channel, and leave any comments that you might have. And for those of you who are Beastmen players out there, any advice for list building or anything that you might help Michael out with would be very much appreciated. He reads these comments too, and anything that can help my opponent provide a better game is certainly helpful to me. So we appreciate it, and we will catch you next time. Thanks, guys.